From 1566 to 1789, the 17 sultans after Suleiman proved to be incompetent men with little experience or training. Some even were mentally defective. This came about because the sultans used to live as governors while their daughters were sultans as a way to gain political experience. This changed with the introduction of the sheltered life, where the sultans to be lived in a place cut off from the world and gained no political experience. They ruled for an average time of 13 years, a very short time. Corruption also became prominent. Local officials could buy their office instead of traditionally being promoted by merit. These corrupt officials could raise taxes for their benefit.
The millet system contributed to the demise of the Ottoman Empire by promoting factions and disunity within the empire. A millet was a section of the Ottoman Empire where a professional group would rule themselves and their followers according to a religious law, either the Islamic Sharia, Christian law, or Jewish halakha. These are basically nations. The Arabic word millah translates to nation. These nations prevented the Ottoman Empire from forming a strong identity as a whole. Instead, people identified with their millet.
The Tanzimat reforms attempted to modernize the Ottoman Empire, and they were issued in a series of edicts and laws from 1839 to 1871. The Ottoman leaders sought the adoption of European political modernity within the Ottoman political and bureaucratic institutions. These reforms placed heavy emphasis on military establishment and the administrative framework. For the purpose of reforming military establishment, the revival of the Janissaries was first priority, as the armies of the great European powers had developed a high level of organization, training, and skill, while the Ottomans only declined in military prowess. To improve on the administrative framework, a number of reforms were issued which focused on equality between different classes and communities. One issue they tackled was the unequal distribution of land through the abolishment of the traditional land tenure regime. Another legal edict was issued to help promote modernization in the empire, the Imperial Rescript of 1856. Articles in this edict called for equality before the law, regardless of religious faith, modernized administration and army, and private ownership of land.
The Crimean War was brought upon years of pressure that existed from Russia onto Turkey, a part of the Ottoman Empire. In 1853, Tsar Nicholas I wanted to protect Christians in the Ottoman Empire in concurrence with the Holy Alliance. France, Great Britain, and Sardinia went to the side of Turkey to resist Russian pressure. Russia was defeated, but the Ottoman Empire, known as the sick man of Europe, only came to expose their ill condition and their dependence on the countries of the West. Hence came the Ottoman Empire's will to reform.
An abundance of poor economic and industrial decisions contributed to the collapse of the Ottoman Empire. The early Ottoman Empire gained money mainly from conquest, but as time progressed, they were spread too thin. Their armies could not effectively gather this money. In a desperate attempt to avoid bankruptcy, they made capitulations, which traded control of their industry to foreign powers in return for one-time payments or diplomatic support. This allowed foreign countries to assume direct control over their industry, weakening the native merchants of the Ottoman Empire. It was these decisions that led to the fall of the Ottoman Empire's economy, and ultimately their nation's collapse.
Ultimately, all these events combined, dissolving the once powerful Ottoman Empire. Collapsing between 1918 to 1920, it was torn apart in its incompetent leadership, millet system, revolutionary influences, drastic wars, and economical decisions.
As Europe dominated, the Ottoman Empire declined. Thus, the Ottomans could not recover as another power showed prominence in the conditions that hurt their state.
Egypt broke away from the Ottoman Empire during the First Syrian War. Precluding this, Egypt was nominally controlled by the Ottoman Empire. The empire required Egypt to send naval assistance for the Greek War of Independence, which the empire lost. Egypt was expecting compensation for their ships, which never came. Outraged, Muhammad Ali sent his troops to conquer Syria. The invasion ended in 1833, with Egyptian control of Syria and Arabia. At the peace agreement of Kuthaya, Syria and Andana were ceded to Egypt. However, this agreement was not satisfactory to either party, and in 1839 the empire moved to reoccupy the lands they lost during the First Syrian War. So began the Second Syrian War. The result of the Second War included Egypt renouncing its claim to Syria because of foreign pressure, and Britain recognizing Muhammad Ali of Egypt and his descendants as the legitimate rulers of Egypt. Foreign states wanted to prevent the Ottoman Empire from collapsing and creating a power vacuum in the Middle East.
Russia took interest in the destruction of the Ottoman Empire for the purpose of building their own through conquest and trade, as well as in hopes of unifying both the Christian and Slavic nations that were currently under Ottoman rule. The Treaty of Kachuk-Kanarji gave Russia direct outlet to the Black Sea. Catherine the Great was also made the protector of all Orthodox Christians in the Ottoman Empire. Russia sought to be the sole protector of all Slavic peoples, and wanted to free those under the rule of the Austrian and Ottoman empires. This was described as the Pan-Slavic movement. From 1769 to 1770, Russian fleets sailed from the Baltic Sea into the eastern Mediterranean. The Russian army won several major victories that gave Russia control of Ottoman provinces on the Danube River and the Crimean coast of the Balkans.
Many smaller nations sprung from the ashes of the Ottoman Empire. The first to gain independence was Serbia in 1815, during two major Serbian uprisings. Greece soon followed with their own uprisings in 1821, through a series of revolts against the empire. Following Serbia and Greece, modern-day Romania took a stand during the Russo-Turkish War. With help from Russia, Romania claimed independence in 1878. While Bulgaria was also largely independent in 1878, it was still under suzerainty of the Ottoman Empire until 30 years later in 1908.
African territory began to be plucked off from the Ottoman Empire. Numerous treaties were made and signed with European powers, giving the Europeans more land. For example, in 1881, France made Tunisia a French protectorate from the Treaty of Bardo, signed by Mohammed II Al Sadiq. This loss of land led to the weakening of the state, as so much land was lost.
Reform became a failure, leading to no success in trying to stop the fragmenting of the Ottoman Empire by foreign efforts. Foreign influence continued to penetrate the Ottoman Empire, leading to a weaker and weaker state. However, there were also internal issues from the economy and religious disputes that couldn't be resolved. The empire's next phase was the rise of the Young Turks, in hope of bringing successful reforms to cure the sick man of Europe.